Part 1. The Crimson Cross. The medical ship Mercy's Light moved slowly through the dark space between stars. Dr. Lucas Hamilton walked through the white halls of the trauma bay. His boots made soft sounds on the metal floor. The ship was huge, bigger than most cities back on Earth. It carried the best doctors and nurses from across human space. Dr. Maya Rodriguez looked up from her patient files when Lucas entered the surgical wing. She had been working for 16 hours straight, but her hands were still steady. 3 alien patients lay on the medical beds. One was a blue-skinned Centauri trader who had been hurt in an accident. Another was a young Andromedan child with a broken arm. The third was an elderly human colonist who needed heart surgery. "Any news from the Outer Rim?" Maya asked while checking the child's bandages. The Andromedan child looked up at her with large golden eyes. Maya smiled and patted the child's head gently. Lucas shook his head. "Captain Carter says we should reach the mining colony in 6 hours. The distress signal stopped 3 hours ago, but we keep going anyway." Maya nodded. This was what they did. When people were hurt or sick, the Mercy's Light would come to help. It did not matter if they were human or alien. It did not matter if there was a war happening. Medical ships like theirs were protected by galactic law. Every civilization in the galaxy agreed that doctors and hospitals should never be attacked. Captain Ben Carter stood on the bridge looking at the star charts. He was a tall man with gray hair and kind eyes. He had been flying medical ships for 20 years. Lieutenant Jake Morrison sat at the communications station. His job was to make sure everyone in space knew they were a hospital ship. "Send the medical codes again," Captain Carter said. "I want every ship in this system to know who we are." Jake pressed buttons on his control panel. The ship's computers sent out signals that said they were a medical vessel. These signals also said they carried no weapons. They were protected by the medical neutrality treaty that all galactic civilizations had signed. Dr. Alan Brooks walked onto the bridge. He was the chief medical officer and one of the best doctors in human space. His white coat had small bloodstains from the surgery he had just finished. "Captain, we have everything ready for mass casualties. If that mining colony was attacked, we can help 500 people at once." Captain Carter smiled. "Good work, Doctor. How are our current patients doing?" "All stable," Dr. Brooks said. "Dr. Rodriguez just finished surgery on the human colonist. The heart replacement went perfectly. The Andromedan child will be ready to go home tomorrow. The Centauri trader is healing well, too." Dr. Sophie Turner came running from the medical bay. She was breathing hard and looked worried. "Captain, we are getting new distress signals." "Not from the mining colony. From somewhere else," Captain Carter frowned. "Put it on the speakers." The bridge filled with the sound of scared voices. Men, women, and children were crying for help. Explosions could be heard in the background. Someone was screaming about ships in the sky and buildings burning. "It's coming from the mining colony," Jake said while looking at his screens. "But it's not the same signal as before. This is happening right now." Captain Carter looked at the star charts again. They were still 4 hours away from the colony. "How fast can we go?" "We are already at maximum speed for a medical ship," Jake answered. "We are not built for racing." The distress signals kept coming. More voices joined the calls for help. Children were crying. Adults were begging for someone to save them. The sounds made everyone on the bridge feel sick and worried. "Captain," Dr. Brooks said quietly, "we have to help them." "I know," Captain Carter replied. "We will get there as fast as we can." Far ahead of them, near the mining colony, a fleet of dark ships moved through space. These ships belonged to the Zephyrian Empire. The Zephyrians were a proud warrior race who believed that strength was the only thing that mattered. They had been fighting with the human colonies for months. Admiral Vextar stood on the command deck of his flagship. He was tall and thin with gray skin and yellow eyes. His uniform was black with silver decorations that showed his many victories. Behind him, his officers watched the destruction of the mining colony on their screens. "The colony is almost destroyed," one officer reported. "Their defenses were weak. We will control this system in 2 hours." Admiral Vextar nodded. "Good. This will show the humans that they cannot expand into our territory." Suddenly, an officer called out from the communications station. "Admiral, we are detecting a large ship approaching. It appears to be human." Admiral Vextar turned around quickly. "A human warship. How did it get past our scouts?" The officer looked confused. "Sir, it is not broadcasting military codes. It says it is a medical vessel. It keeps sending signals that say it is protected by the Medical Neutrality Treaty. Admiral Vextar walked over to look at the screens. The approaching ship was indeed very large. But it looked different from human warships. It was white instead of gray. It had red crosses painted on its sides. Strange symbols covered its hull. Medical vessel, Admiral Vextar said slowly. What is this? His chief science officer, Commander Thexol, stepped forward. Admiral, humans seem to have ships that are only for helping the sick and wounded. But this could be a trick. Maybe they are hiding weapons inside. Admiral Vextar studied the approaching ship. He had never heard of such a thing. In Zephyrian culture, all ships were for war. The idea of a ship that only helped people seemed impossible. Are you sure it has no weapons? Our scans show no weapons, the science officer said. But human technology is strange. They might have weapons we cannot detect. The Mercy's light kept sending its medical codes. Captain Carter had ordered Jake to broadcast their peaceful mission every 30 seconds. The signals explained that they were coming to help the wounded people on the mining colony. They asked for safe passage through the battle zone. Admiral Vextar listened to these signals with growing suspicion. Why would they send a defenseless ship into a battle? This must be some kind of human trick, Commander Thexol agreed. Perhaps it is carrying new weapons or soldiers. The humans are clever and devious. Or maybe, Admiral Vextar said with cold yellow eyes, they think we are stupid enough to let them rescue our enemies. On the Mercy's light, Dr. Hamilton prepared the emergency medical bay. He worked alongside Dr. Rodriguez and 20 other doctors and nurses. They set up hundreds of medical beds. They prepared medicines and surgical tools. They made ready to save as many lives as possible. Captain Carter received a message from the Zephyrian fleet. The message was short and threatening. It told the human ship to leave immediately or be destroyed. Send our medical codes again, Captain Carter ordered. Tell them we are only here to help the wounded. Jake sent the message but got no reply. Admiral Vextar made his decision. All ships target the human vessel. It is clearly a military threat disguised as something else. But Admiral, Commander Thexol said, what if it really is a medical ship? Admiral Vextar's yellow eyes grew cold. Then the humans should not have sent it into a war zone. Part 2, The Silent Genius Doctor. Vincent Kane sat in his quiet office on the Lunar Research Station. The room was dark except for the blue light from his computer screens. Numbers and data filled the monitors. He had been working for 18 hours straight, but his mind was sharp and focused. Outside the window, Earth looked peaceful and beautiful against the black space. The message arrived at exactly 3 in the morning Earth time. Vincent's communication system made a soft beeping sound. He touched the screen and saw an emergency signal from deep space. His heart began to beat faster when he read the source code. It was from the Mercy's light. Vincent opened the message and watched the video recording. His sister Lisa appeared on the screen. She was wearing her medical uniform and looked scared. Behind her, Vincent could see other doctors and nurses running around. Alarms were making loud noises. Vincent, if you get this message, it means we are all dead, Lisa said in the recording. Her voice was shaking, but she tried to stay calm. The Zephyrians attacked us without warning. We sent all the proper medical codes. We followed every rule in the Medical Neutrality Treaty, but they fired on us anyway. The recording showed explosions hitting the ship. The lights went out and came back on. Lisa fell down when the ship shook. She got back up and continued talking. They are killing patients, Vincent. Sick children and wounded civilians. We are a hospital ship and they are murdering everyone. Vincent watched his sister's face on the screen. Lisa was his only family. Their parents had died when they were young. Lisa had become a doctor to help people. Vincent had become a scientist to understand how things worked. Now his sister was dead because some alien admiral decided that human medical ships were threats. The recording ended with another explosion. The screen went black. Vincent stared at the empty monitor for a long time. He felt cold inside, like something had frozen in his chest, but his mind was already starting to work. He was thinking about the Zephyrian Empire and how to make them pay. Katie Wells found Vincent in his office the next morning. She was an intelligence analyst who worked with the Lunar Research Station. Her job was to collect information about alien civilizations. She knocked on his door but got no answer. When she looked inside, she saw Vincent staring at his computer screens. "Vincent, are you okay?" Katie asked. She had heard about the attack on the Mercy's light. Everyone in human space was talking about it. Vincent turned around slowly. His eyes were red from not sleeping, but they looked very cold. Katie, I need everything you have on the Zephyrian Empire. Military structure, technology, communication systems, supply lines. Everything. Katie sat down in the chair across from his desk. Vincent, I know you are angry about your sister. We all are. But Earth Command is already planning a response. What kind of response? Vincent asked. Admiral Johnson is gathering the fleet. We have 200 ships ready for battle. It will take time, but we can hit back at the Zephyrians. Vincent shook his head. Katie, the Zephyrian Empire has over 10,000 warships. They control 300 star systems. If we fight them directly, they will destroy every human colony in space. Katie looked confused. Then what do you want to do? Vincent turned back to his computer screens. I want to study them. I want to understand how their empire works. I want to find their weaknesses. Katie brought Vincent all the intelligence files she had on the Zephyrians. There were thousands of reports from spies, traitors, and diplomats. Vincent read everything. He studied their military tactics, their government structure, and their technology. He learned about their culture and their history. Ryan Clark joined them the next day. He was a systems engineer who understood alien technology. Ryan was young and smart. He could look at any computer system and figure out how it worked. Vincent asked him to study Zephyrian communication networks. This is interesting, Ryan said while looking at technical data. The Zephyrians use quantum communication for everything. Their entire empire is connected by these networks. Every ship, every planet, every military base talks to each other instantly. Vincent leaned forward. What happens if those networks stop working? Ryan thought about it. Well, their empire is huge. Without instant communication, they would not be able to coordinate anything. Fleets would be isolated. Planets would be cut off. It would be like cutting the brain away from the body. Vincent smiled for the first time since his sister died. Show me exactly how their networks operate. Colonel Steve Adams arrived at the lunar station 3 days later. He represented Earth Command in the human military. He was a big man with short gray hair and many medals on his uniform. He had fought in several wars against alien pirates and rebels. Dr. Kane, Colonel Adams said when he entered Vincent's office. I am sorry about your sister. She was a good doctor and a brave woman. Vincent nodded but did not say anything. Colonel Adams continued. Earth Command wants to know if you have any ideas for military action. We know you are the smartest strategic mind in human space. If anyone can find a way to hurt the Zephyrians, it would be you. Vincent showed Colonel Adams the data he had collected. Colonel, direct military action will fail. We are outnumbered 50-1. But the Zephyrians have a critical weakness. Their quantum communication networks. Colonel Adams looked at the technical diagrams Vincent had prepared. I don't understand most of this, Doctor. Can you explain it in simple terms? Imagine the human body, Vincent said. The brain controls everything through the nervous system. Cut the nerves and the body cannot function. The Zephyrian Empire is like a body. Their quantum networks are like nerves. Cut the networks and the Empire cannot function. Colonel Adams was interested now. Can we actually do that? Vincent looked at Ryan Clark. Ryan nodded and pulled up more technical data. We can create a quantum virus, Ryan explained. It would spread through their networks like a disease. But instead of making people sick, it would make their computers stop working. Colonel Adams frowned. A virus that attacks computers. How would that help us win a war? Vincent stood up and walked to the window. He looked out at Earth and thought about his sister dying in space. Colonel, modern civilizations depend completely on their technology. Take away their computers and they become helpless. The Zephyrians would lose control of their ships, their weapons, their planets, everything. Colonel Adams was quiet for a moment. How long would it take to create this virus? Ryan answered. If we work fast, maybe 6 weeks. But we need samples of Zephyrian technology to make sure it works. I can get you samples, Colonel Adams said. We captured some Zephyrian equipment in the last border skirmish. Vincent turned away from the window. His eyes were cold and determined. Colonel, I want you to understand something. This virus will not just attack military targets. Zephyrian civilization uses the same quantum networks for everything. Hospitals, schools, food distribution, power plants. Everything will stop working. Colonel Adams looked uncomfortable. You are talking about attacking civilians. The Zephyrians attacked our civilians, Vincent said quietly. They murdered doctors and patients in a hospital ship. They killed my sister while she was trying to save wounded children. Colonel Adams thought about this for a long time. Finally, he nodded. "Get me a plan, Doctor. Earth Command will review it." Vincent sat back down at his computer. His fingers moved quickly over the keyboard. Data flowed across the screens. He was designing something that had never existed before, a weapon that could destroy an entire civilization without firing a single shot. In Part 3, the web unravels. 6 weeks had passed since Vincent Kane started working on his quantum virus. The Lunar Research Station had become a secret military base. Scientists and engineers worked day and night in hidden laboratories. Colonel Adams brought more people to help with the project. Everyone knew they were building something that could change the galaxy forever. Ryan Clark finished the final tests on the virus code. He looked tired but excited. The virus was small and invisible. It could hide inside normal computer messages. When it reached Zephyrian quantum networks, it would copy itself and spread to other systems. Then it would wait for Vincent's signal to activate. "It's ready," Ryan told Vincent. "The virus can spread through their entire empire in about 3 weeks. But once we activate it, there is no way to stop it or control it." Vincent nodded. He had been thinking about this moment for weeks. His sister's face appeared in his dreams every night. He could still hear her voice from the final recording. Lisa had died trying to save people. Now Vincent would make sure the Zephyrians paid for killing her. Katie Wells brought news from the intelligence networks. "Vincent, we found a way to deliver the virus. There is a trade conference happening at Neutral Station 7. Both humans and Zephyrians will be there. We can hide the virus in normal trade documents." Neutral Station 7 was a huge space station that belonged to no government. Traders from across the galaxy came there to buy and sell goods. It was neutral territory where different species could meet safely. Even during wars, trade continued at the neutral stations. Captain Helen Morris commanded the human trade ship, Prosperity. She was a smart woman who had been trading with aliens for 10 years. The government asked her to carry the virus to Neutral Station 7. She did not know exactly what she was carrying. She only knew it was important for human security. "Dr. Kane," Captain Morris said when she met Vincent at the spaceport, "my ship is ready to leave. What exactly am I delivering to the Zephyrians?" Vincent handed her a data storage device that looked like a normal trade computer. "Captain, this contains economic reports and trade proposals. The Zephyrians will connect it to their computer networks to read the documents. That is all you need to know." Captain Morris looked at the device. It seemed harmless. "Doctor, I have been trading with Zephyrians for years. They are not bad people. They have families and children just like us." Vincent's eyes became cold. "Captain, they murdered 3,000 people on a hospital ship. They killed doctors and patients who were trying to help wounded civilians. They deserve whatever happens to them." Captain Morris put the device in her cargo bag. She did not argue with Vincent anymore. Everyone in human space was angry about the attack on the Mercy's Light. If this mission could prevent more attacks on human ships, she would do her duty. The Prosperity reached Neutral Station 7 5 days later. The station was enormous, bigger than most cities. Ships from dozens of different species were docked at the loading bays. Zephyrian traders walked through the corridors alongside humans, Centauri, and Andromedans. Everyone followed the neutral zone rules that kept peace on the station. Captain Morris met with Zephyrian Trade Minister Kexnel in one of the station's meeting rooms. Minister Kexnel was different from the military Zephyrians. He was shorter and had kind yellow eyes. He wore colorful civilian clothes instead of a black uniform. He seemed genuinely interested in peaceful trade. "Captain Morris," Minister Kexnel said in broken human language, "it is good to see humans still want trade despite recent troubles." Captain Morris smiled and shook his hand. "Minister, business must continue even during difficult times. I have some economic reports that might interest your government." She gave him the data storage device that contained Vincent's virus. Minister Kexnel thanked her and connected the device to his portable computer. The computer read the trade documents and copied them to his files. At the same time, the quantum virus copied itself into the Zephyrian computer systems. Minister Kexnel found the trade proposals interesting. He sent the files to the Zephyrian Economic Council for review. The virus traveled with these files through the quantum communication networks. Within hours, it had reached dozens of Zephyrian government computers. Within days, it had spread to hundreds of military bases and civilian systems. The virus was very smart. It hid inside normal computer operations. Zephyrian technicians could not detect it. The virus studied the network structures and learned how to spread faster. It copied itself into backup systems and emergency networks. After 3 weeks, it had infected every computer in the Zephyrian Empire. Vincent watched the virus spread from his control room on the lunar station. His computers showed a map of Zephyrian space. Green dots appeared as the virus infected new systems. First, the government networks turned green, then the military networks, finally the civilian networks. The entire empire was infected. Vincent, Katie said while looking at the monitoring screens. The virus has reached even the smallest Zephyrian colonies. Every computer in their empire is infected. Are you sure you want to do this? Vincent thought about his sister again. He remembered her dedication to helping people. He remembered her voice calling for help in the final recording. He remembered that she died because Zephyrian Admiral Vextar decided to attack a hospital ship. Activate the virus, Vincent said quietly. Ryan Clark pressed the activation button. A signal traveled through space to the Zephyrian networks. When the virus received this signal, it began its work. Across the Empire, computers started malfunctioning. Communication networks failed. Power systems shut down. Military computers began attacking their own ships. Admiral Vextar was in his command center when the chaos began. He was planning another attack on human colonies. Suddenly, all the screens in the room went dark. Emergency lights turned on, but the main computers would not restart. "What is happening?" Admiral Vextar shouted at his officers. Commander Thexal tried to contact other ships in the fleet. "Admiral, I cannot reach anyone. All communication systems are down." Admiral Vextar looked out the window of his flagship. The other ships in his fleet were drifting in space. Their lights were flickering on and off. Some ships were firing their weapons randomly at empty space. Others were spinning out of control. On the planet below, Zephyrian cities were going dark. Power plants shut down when their control computers failed. Hospitals lost electricity. Schools stopped working. Food distribution centers could not operate without their computer systems. Dr. Amanda Price watched the destruction from Earth Command headquarters. She was an expert on military ethics. Her job was to make sure human military actions followed moral rules. As reports came in from Zephyrian space, she became more and more worried. "Colonel Adams," Dr. Price said while reading the damage reports, "the virus is affecting civilian targets. Hospitals, schools, food systems. Millions of innocent people are suffering." Colonel Adams looked uncomfortable. "Dr. Price, this is war. The Zephyrians started it when they attacked our hospital ship." Dr. Price shook her head. "Colonel, we are destroying their entire civilization. This is not a military strike. This is genocide." Colonel Adams did not answer. He was receiving reports that Zephyrian military resistance was collapsing completely. Their ships could not coordinate attacks. Their planets could not communicate with each other. The mighty Zephyrian Empire was falling apart in a matter of hours. Vincent received the first success report 6 hours after activation. The virus had worked better than he had hoped. Not only were Zephyrian military systems failing, but their civilian infrastructure was collapsing too. Entire planets were losing power and communication. "Vincent," Ryan said while reading technical reports, "the virus has mutated. It is attacking systems we never intended to target. Civilian hospitals, food distribution, environmental controls. It is spreading beyond our original programming." Vincent felt a cold satisfaction in his chest. The Zephyrians had shown no mercy to the patients on the Mercy's light. Now they would understand what it felt like to be helpless. Part 4. Echoes of Destruction. 3 months had passed since Vincent Kane's virus destroyed the Zephyrian Empire. The galaxy was a very different place now. Where once there had been a mighty civilization with thousands of worlds, there were only scattered planets struggling to survive. The quantum networks that had connected the Empire were still broken and could not be repaired. Commander Greg Patterson led a human reconnaissance fleet into former Zephyrian space. His job was to find out what had happened to the enemy civilization. Greg was a career military officer who had fought against Zephyrian raiders for years. He expected to find weakened military bases and damaged warships. What he found was much worse. The first planet Greg visited was called Zephyr Prime. It had once been home to 50 million Zephyrians and was a major industrial center. Now the planet was dark. The cities had no electricity. The factories were silent. Greg's sensors detected millions of life signs, but no technology was working. "Captain Morris," Greg called to his communications officer. "Try to contact someone on the surface." Captain Morris shook her head. "Sir, they have no working communication systems." No radio, no quantum networks, nothing. It's like they've gone back to the Stone Age. Greg ordered his shuttle to land near the largest city. When he stepped outside, he saw Zephyrian civilians walking through the streets. They looked thin and hungry. Many were sick. Without their advanced medical systems, diseases that had been eliminated centuries ago were spreading again. A group of Zephyrian children approached Greg's landing party. The children looked scared but curious. They had never seen humans before. One little girl reached out to touch Greg's uniform. Her parents quickly pulled her back, afraid of what the humans might do. Greg tried to communicate using a translation device. "We are not here to hurt you," he said in the Zephyrian language. "We want to help." An elderly Zephyrian man stepped forward. He was wearing the torn remains of what had once been an expensive robe. "You are the humans who destroyed our world," the old man said. His voice was full of sadness but not anger. Greg felt uncomfortable. "Sir, your military attacked our hospital ship. We had to defend ourselves." The old man nodded slowly. "Yes, I heard about that. Admiral Vextar was a fool, but why did you punish all of us for his mistake? My granddaughter died last week because our hospitals have no power. She could have been saved easily before your virus came." Greg did not know what to say. He had come expecting to find defeated enemies, not starving civilians. He gave the old man some food supplies from his shuttle and left the planet quickly. Dr. Amanda Price read Greg's reports with growing horror. She sat in her office at Earth Command headquarters, surrounded by files about the Zephyrian collapse. Every report told the same story. Entire worlds had been reduced to pre-industrial conditions. Billions of people were suffering without electricity, medicine, or communication. "Colonel Adams," Dr. Price said when he entered her office, "we need to talk about what we've done." Colonel Adams looked tired. He had been dealing with reports from Zephyrian space for weeks. "Dr. Price, I know you're concerned about civilian casualties, but the military threat is over. The Zephyrians can't attack anyone anymore." Dr. Price showed him photographs from Greg's reconnaissance missions. The pictures showed Zephyrian cities in darkness, hospitals without power, and children suffering from diseases. "Colonel, this isn't military victory. This is genocide. We've destroyed an entire civilization." Colonel Adams studied the photographs. "Dr. Price, the Zephyrians chose this path when they attacked the Mercy's Light. They murdered 3,000 innocent people, including doctors and patients. So we murdered 3 billion innocent people in response." Dr. Price replied. "How does that make us better than them?" On the Lunar Research Station, Vincent Kane continued monitoring the situation in Zephyrian space. His computers showed him detailed reports about the collapse. Power systems remained offline. Communication networks were still broken. The virus had done its work so well that even Zephyrian engineers could not repair the damage. Katie Wells brought Vincent a new intelligence report. "Vincent, we're getting disturbing news from other alien civilizations. The Centauri Federation has started building new military defenses. The Andromedans are developing quantum firewalls to protect their networks. Everyone is afraid of what humans might do next." Vincent looked at the report but seemed uninterested. "Let them be afraid. Fear will keep them from attacking human colonies." Katie sat down across from his desk. "Vincent, the entire galaxy is scared of us now. They're calling humans the civilization killers. Is that really what you wanted?" Vincent thought about his sister Lisa again. He remembered her dedication to helping people regardless of their species. Lisa had treated Zephyrian patients alongside humans and Andromedans. She would not have wanted this level of destruction and suffering. "Katie, my sister died because the Zephyrians saw our medical ship as a threat. Now every alien civilization in the galaxy sees humans as a threat. Maybe that's good. Maybe fear will prevent more attacks on innocent people." Katie shook her head. "Vincent, fear also prevents cooperation. Before the virus, humans were part of the galactic community. Now we're isolated. Other species won't trade with us or work with us. We've become the thing everyone else fears." Reports continued to arrive from former Zephyrian space. Commander Greg Patterson found that some Zephyrian worlds had completely collapsed into chaos. Without central government or communication, local warlords had taken control. Civil wars were breaking out as different groups fought for resources and power. On one planet called Kepler 7, Greg discovered that half the population had died from starvation. The planet had depended on food imports that were coordinated by quantum networks. When the networks failed, the food shipments stopped. Millions of Zephyrians died because they could not grow enough food locally. Another planet had suffered environmental collapse. The atmospheric processors that cleaned the air were controlled by computers. When the virus destroyed the computers, the air became poisonous. Survivors were forced to live in underground shelters with limited air supplies. Vincent received a priority transmission from deep space. The message was from Admiral Vextar himself. The Zephyrian admiral looked very different than he had months ago. His uniform was dirty and torn. His face was thin from hunger. His proud yellow eyes now looked defeated and desperate. "Dr. Kane," Admiral Vextar said in the recording, "I know you are the human who created the virus that destroyed my empire. I want you to know that I understand why you did it. I made a terrible mistake when I ordered the attack on your hospital ship." Admiral Vextar paused and looked directly into the camera. "Dr. Kane, I am formally surrendering the remaining Zephyrian forces to human authority. We cannot fight anymore. We cannot even feed our own people. Please, I beg you, help us repair our worlds. Billions of innocent civilians are dying because of my mistake." Vincent watched the message 3 times. Admiral Vextar, who had been so proud and arrogant when he attacked the Mercy's light, was now begging for human mercy. The mighty Zephyrian empire that had controlled hundreds of worlds was asking for help from the species they had tried to destroy. Dr. Price visited Vincent on the lunar station the next day. She brought with her detailed reports about the humanitarian crisis in former Zephyrian space. Children were dying from diseases that could be easily cured. Elderly people were freezing because heating systems did not work. Pregnant women were giving birth without medical assistance. "Vincent," Dr. Price said while showing him the reports, "we have to help them. This has gone beyond military victory. We're watching an entire species die because they can't adapt to life without technology." Vincent looked at the reports, but his expression remained cold. "Dr. Price, the Zephyrians built their entire civilization around advanced technology. When they lost that technology, they became helpless. That was their choice, not ours." Dr. Price leaned forward across his desk. "Vincent, your sister was a doctor. She dedicated her life to saving people. Do you really think she would want this level of suffering and death?" For the first time in months, Vincent's cold expression wavered. He thought about Lisa working in the medical bay of the Mercy's light. She had treated patients from every species in the galaxy. She never asked if they were friends or enemies. She only cared about helping people who were hurt or sick. To Part 5. The New Galactic Order. 6 months after the destruction of the Mercy's light, the galaxy had become a very different place. The mighty Zephyrian Empire no longer existed. In its place were dozens of broken worlds struggling to survive without technology. Human ships now patrolled the space that had once belonged to their enemies. The balance of power had shifted completely. Dr. Vincent Kane stood in his observatory on the Lunar Research Station. Through the large window, he could see Earth spinning slowly in the darkness. Supply ships were leaving Earth's orbit carrying food and medical supplies to former Zephyrian worlds. The irony was not lost on Vincent. Humans were now providing aid to the same species that had destroyed their hospital ship. Captain Paul Richardson commanded the new hospital ship Mercy's Light 2. The ship was even larger than the original and carried more advanced medical equipment. Paul was a careful man who had studied every detail of the first ship's destruction. He was determined that such a tragedy would never happen again. "Dr. Kane," Captain Richardson said during a video call from his ship, "we just completed our mission to the Kepler system. We treated over 2,000 Zephyrian patients. Not a single alien ship approached us. They all stayed far away from our medical codes." Vincent nodded. "Captain, how are the Zephyrian medical staff working with your team?" Captain Richardson smiled. "Dr. Kane, it's remarkable. The Zephyrian doctors are very skilled. They work alongside our people without any problems. Dr. Rodriguez says they're some of the best surgeons she's ever seen. It's hard to believe we were at war with them just months ago." The reputation of human hospital ships had spread throughout the galaxy. Every alien civilization now knew what had happened to those who attacked human medical vessels. No one dared to threaten ships bearing the Red Cross symbol. Human doctors could travel anywhere in the galaxy with complete safety. Ambassador Jennifer Knox arrived at the lunar station to brief Vincent on galactic politics. She was Earth's chief diplomatic representative and had been meeting with alien governments for weeks. Her job was to manage the fear and suspicion that now surrounded humanity. "Dr. Kane," Ambassador Knox said while sitting in Vincent's office, I've just returned from the Centauri homeworld. Their government is terrified of us. They're asking what they need to do to avoid the same fate as the Zephyrians. Vincent looked at diplomatic reports from across the galaxy. Every major civilization was taking defensive measures against possible human attacks. The Andromedans had built new quantum firewalls. The Centauri had created isolated backup systems. Even small trading worlds were upgrading their computer security. Ambassador, what are they specifically afraid of? Vincent asked. Ambassador Knox pulled out her datapad and read from her notes. They want to know if we consider them threats. They're asking for non-aggression treaties. Some governments are offering to pay tribute to Earth to guarantee their safety. The entire galactic political system has changed. Vincent had become the most feared person in the galaxy, without ever leaving his research station. Alien leaders spoke his name with respect and terror. Intelligence reports suggested that several civilizations had pictures of Vincent in their war rooms as a reminder of what humans could do when provoked. Dr. Amanda Price continued her work with the Zephyrian Recovery Initiative. She led teams of human doctors and engineers to help rebuild the collapsed worlds. The work was slow and difficult. Many Zephyrian planets had lost decades of technological progress in a matter of hours. Vincent, Dr. Price said during one of her regular reports, we're making progress on Zephyr Prime. The power grid is partially restored and the main hospital is functioning again. But it will take years to fully repair the damage. Vincent listened to her reports with mixed feelings. Part of him was satisfied that the Zephyrians were being helped. Another part of him wondered if they deserved assistance after what they had done to the Mercy's Light. Dr. Price, are the Zephyrian people grateful for our help? Vincent asked. Dr. Price nodded. Most of them are. They understand that humans didn't have to provide aid. Some of the older Zephyrians remember Admiral Vextar and feel ashamed of what he did. The younger ones just want to rebuild their lives. Former Admiral Vextar had become a broken man. He lived on a small Zephyrian colony world where he helped coordinate relief efforts. His military rank meant nothing now that the Zephyrian fleet no longer existed. He spent his days working with human aid workers and trying to repair the damage his decisions had caused. Vincent received a personal message from Vextar every month. The former admiral always apologized for attacking the hospital ship and asked if there was anything he could do to help human relief efforts. Vincent never replied to these messages, but he read every one. Commander Greg Patterson brought Vincent intelligence reports about other galactic powers. The information was both encouraging and worrying. No alien civilization was planning attacks against humans, but many were building new weapons and defenses. Dr. Kane, Greg said while reviewing the latest reports, the Andromedan Collective has developed something they call quantum isolation chambers. If we ever used a virus like yours against them, they could disconnect their critical systems and protect them. Vincent was not surprised. Greg, intelligent civilizations learn from the mistakes of others. The Zephyrians were destroyed because they depended too heavily on connected networks. Other species won't make the same mistake. Greg continued reading from his reports. The Centauri Federation is developing new military tactics that don't require quantum communication. They're training their fleets to operate independently without central coordination. Vincent realized that his virus had changed more than just the Zephyrian Empire. It had forced every civilization in the galaxy to rethink how they used technology. The age of completely connected networks and centralized control was ending. Katie Wells brought Vincent news that troubled him more than military reports. Vincent, we're receiving fewer applications for human colonies. People from other species don't want to live near humans anymore. Trade is declining. Scientific cooperation has almost stopped. Vincent looked at the data Katie provided. Before the virus, humans had been part of a thriving galactic community. Human colonies welcomed alien residents. Human scientists worked with researchers from dozens of species. Human traders did business throughout the galaxy. Katie, are we becoming isolated from the rest of the galaxy? Katie nodded sadly. Vincent, other species respect us now, but they also fear us. Fear doesn't create friendship or cooperation. It creates distance and suspicion. Vincent walked to his window and looked out at Earth again. He thought about his sister Lisa and her dream of a galaxy where all species worked together to help each other. The virus had achieved perfect military victory, but it had also destroyed the spirit of cooperation that Lisa had believed in. Dr. Price visited Vincent one final time before returning to Zephyrian space. She brought with her a recording that Admiral Vextar had asked her to deliver. Vincent almost refused to watch it, but curiosity made him change his mind. In the recording, Admiral Vextar looked older and more tired than before. He was standing in a rebuilt Zephyrian hospital where human and Zephyrian doctors worked side by side. "Dr. Kane," Vextar said in the recording, "I know you will probably never forgive me for what I did to your sister and the other people on the Mercy's Light. I don't expect forgiveness. But I want you to see what your people are doing here." The camera showed human doctors teaching Zephyrian students. It showed human engineers helping rebuild power systems. It showed human and Zephyrian children playing together in a hospital ward. "Your sister would be proud," Vextar continued. "The humans who come here don't seek revenge. They seek to heal and to help. Perhaps that is the true strength of your species." Vincent watched the recording 3 times. He thought about Lisa, working in the medical bay of the original Mercy's Light. She had dedicated her life to helping others regardless of their species. She had died trying to save wounded civilians who were not even human. The virus had given humanity military supremacy over the galaxy. Every alien civilization now feared human retaliation. No one would ever again attack a human hospital ship. But Vincent wondered if fear was really what Lisa would have wanted as her legacy. Vincent stood up and walked to his computer terminal. He began typing a new message to Dr. Price and the Zephyrian Recovery Initiative. For the first time in months, he was thinking about building something instead of destroying it.